Okay, I'm a rabbi and I'm going to die on this hill. I think we need to be talking about our personal experiences with God more. I think clergy in particular need to be talking about our personal experiences of God more. We have plenty of language about God in our sacred texts, in our prayer book, in the Torah and Haftorah portions that we read. But often I feel like God is treated like a character, or these are treated as ancient texts that we can extract meaning from. But there's something that feels really nerve-wracking about actually talking about God as if God is real. And I am asking why that is. I have had really profound experiences with the divine, but I was just subject to the nervousness around that, as I think many people are. And it took a lot of work for me to open up to the possibility that there could actually be an authentic and genuine connection with God. I was definitely in the more of the rationalist, natural theology kind of camp for a long time. I think part of what drew me into wanting to be more deeply involved and engaged with Judaism to start with was that it was this counter to the kind of non-rationalist Christian theology that I was exposed to a lot when I was growing up, that felt to me like it required you to turn off your brain, turn off your intellect in order to participate fully. And so for me, it was a huge breath of fresh air to feel that I could come with all of my questioning and curiosity, and not have anyone expecting me to believe correctly in order to be a part of the community. But as I've developed through time, as I've kept learning and observed a lot about how our communities function, I really started noticing, oh, we get really nervous when someone starts talking about God as if God is real. And I want to be as inclusive as I possibly can. I tend to use a lot of expansive language in my work when I talk about God, to allow for the multiplicity of ways that people and that Jewish tradition has actually thought about what this thing is when we say God. But a lot of the time we're just talking in abstraction, and we're not talking about the real thing. I'm even aware of the fact that I'm talking in abstraction right now because it is so scary to me to actually talk about deeply personal experiences with God. I had an experience in my previous synagogue. We were renting some space from an Episcopal church, and we had a lovely relationship with them. And I remember someone talking about how they had gone to someone who was in the lay leadership in that community about a question having to do with, I don't remember what it had to do with, but anyway, there was some kind of question, the person needed to consider it, and they said, the Christian person said, oh, I'm going to pray on it. And the member of the Jewish community who was reporting this back reported it back as kind of like this sort of odd thing. Like, no one in the Jewish community, in our community anyway, would even think that when you were considering a question, making a decision, that you might engage in prayer or contemplation for an answer. And so it struck me as both true that I think that is the case for many of us in Jewish communities, But then I had to ask why. Why? I don't think that was always the case for us. Um, I think we do have a different relationship with how we conceive of communication between God and Jewish spaces. I think we have more of a collective relationship rather than the sort of idea that God is going to communicate one by one. There's the classic idea that prophecy is no longer in effect. Although there are plenty of exceptions, right, throughout our tradition and Jewish history that we can talk about. And so I'm really curious about those.